What's happening, everyone? I wanted to make an episode going into more detail about what 717 actually is. First off, 717, July 17th, is my birthday. And the idea is that each of you go from the present moment all the way back to your day of birth and revisit everything. The traumas, the excitement, the highs, the lows, the mundane, everything from your relationship with your parents to the school system to the neighborhoods, the culture you grew up in, pop culture, everything you see with a new, wiser eye. Because what I've learned is that that is the key to healing all the things in the present that you're unhappy about, your anxiety, depression, just a blah going through life. You look back and you're going to make sense of why the present is the way it is. We're going through life with blinders on. We have the stress, we have emotions, we have distractions, right? You go back, you look at it with a new eye, and you can make sense of what was going on then. For instance, maybe your dad worked 50, 60 hours a week and not only wasn't around a whole lot because he was working so much, but then he's exhausted and he's got other things he's got to take care of. He's got his own life, right? He's been on his journey as well. So as a kid, he might not be there for you emotionally. He might not be there for you in that mental presence. He's supported you financially. He loves you. He prevented a lot of traumas from happening. But as a kid, you don't know that. And so that lack of a fatherly presence in moments can have a very profound impact. But if you go back and look at it, you can solve a lot of your childhood stuff by being like, that's what happened. Okay, I'm an adult now. I know what my dad was going through. I can see it a little bit more clearly. In my own life, when you're growing up, knowing that your dad is a child molester, abusive, suicidal, alcoholic, I didn't go to his funeral. I couldn't stand him. Once the day the divorce was announced, right before third grade, one of the happiest days of my life. Trust me, not having a dad then came with a very steep price tag, which I'll be getting into as well, but I needed him out of my life. And you tend to have this hatred or this negativity towards them because of the way they treated you, treated your sister, treated your mom, everything. But in order to heal a lot of anger and a lot of frustration, I've had to go back and re-examine everything, not just the moments with him, because there are a lot of messed up moments with him that I'll get into, but seeing, well, why was he an alcoholic? These things don't just happen overnight. You're an alcoholic, you're an addict for many different reasons, but he was escaping something. He was hiding and masking his pain. And just for a few examples of what he went through, I know he lost his mom when he was in his young teens, and I heard that devastated him. So that explains some. But I also have heard that there is a high probability that not only was he molested when he was younger, but either it was someone in his family or someone in his family allowed it to happen. When I hear that, not only does it make sense of why he did what he did, and I get to understand it more, but then I start having sympathy for him. I start looking back to when he was a kid. My heart breaks for someone that has to go through something like that. That doesn't excuse what he did to me or my sister or anybody, but it allows me to heal and smooth things out. So now I see it for more truthfully what it is. That's what we all have to do. Hopefully you don't have to have as much traumatic healing as I do, but a lot of us do. And going back and making sense of your childhood, you go see it with a new eye. And it can have profound healing if you allow it to. But you might have to start off slow. The past is a very painful place for many people to go to for many different reasons. I mentioned my friend who shot himself back in September. My sister took her own life in November. And these are two examples of two different lives who didn't want to go back and look at the past. My sister's past was too painful. I'd walk on eggshells. I wouldn't want to bring certain things up. I didn't know if something was going to trigger something. And I just didn't address it because I knew how painful the past was for her. My friend, on the other hand, I can't speak to his first 20 years because I met him at age 20. But overall, it seems like his youth and his younger years were more happy, were more optimistic and fun. However, the past decade or so, when adulthood kicks in and we're not kids anymore, then that real world stress catches up to you. You're not fulfilled. You're not happy. You go on a downward spiral. And so the happier times are too painful to relive because your present is so hurt. And so the goal is to slowly but surely get that strength, start smoothing out the traumas, start healing those past moments. So in the present, you will be amazed at what you can find and the strength you can start putting into your own life by just doing this. So we're going back in time, right? We're looking at everything in our own life. We're looking in the lives of other people, like our parents, so we can see what they went through in their own childhoods and younger years to make sense of who they became. We're looking at structures like the education system, the financial system, religions, sciences, technology, social media. So while a lot of this stuff might be painful or you just don't think it's important to look at, there is one area of our lives that can actually be fun and cathartic and enjoyable to go through and re-examine, and that's the impact pop culture has had on our lives. The music, the movies, the TV shows, the sports, the celebrities that sometimes we over-idolize too much. The trends, the fashion. Think about how we turn to things like music to help soothe us or let our rage out on or just escape. The impact that pop culture has had on our own lives cannot be overstated. This is the area that can not only be enjoyable and be fun, but it can help heal all those other areas. You put on a song, it takes you back to a time, right? It might be a traumatic time. Maybe a song reminds you of a breakup. But that song didn't break up with you. Your breakup was its own thing that involved people in your world. So you shouldn't be afraid or sad or not wanting to hear that song. So the idea with this is, and we'll just pick music for an example. You hear a song from your younger years and it takes you back, right? You're there now. It's 1994, it's 98, it's 2002, wherever. You're looking around. It takes you there. Then you start seeing people and other memories that you might have long forgotten about that you're then like, oh, that person, this person. Oh my God, I forgot that happened, which then spurns more memories and so on and so on. So we're activating our brains in ways that I feel that we've stopped using our brains in a lot of different ways. So we'll use a song to trigger those memories and go back. But then as you're healing, you then can hear and appreciate these songs and movies and such in a different way. You're X amount of years older, so you've gone through life, you've seen things differently, but then you can look back and as you're healing, appreciate it because like I said, a song might remind you of a breakup, so you never really appreciated the instruments, the production, the vocals like you could have or should have because you were going through a trauma. But you start healing and then you can go back and actually appreciate it for what it was. It really does astonish me how many people actually don't know the lyrics to a lot of their songs that they listen to. We might know the chorus and a few words, but when you're younger and you're hearing adults sing or rap about something in an adult way of life, you don't really comprehend it until you go through and re-listen and be like, oh, that's what they were getting at. I've used music to go and re-explore all different eras and moments of my own life. So I want to wrap this episode up and give you an example of a specific song that had these profound impacts in my own life. Not only did it jog memories and take me back to a specific time period, but I heard it with new ears and the lyrics absolutely blew my mind away where I was like, I didn't hear that the first time. It's a song by Mystical and Outkast called Neck of the Woods. It came out in 99. And it maybe been 2 decades since I heard that song. And I heard it sometime in 2021, and I was like, oh my God, where's this song been? And as soon as I heard it, it took me back to summer of 99. I remembered exactly where I was when I first saw the video in my friend's basement, which made me think of him. And I'm like, whatever happened to him? It reminded me of my job that summer, working at a car wash, which reminded me of other people and people I went to school with. And so these memories then triggered other memories because like I said, our brains are not being used as much. And so it had that memory jogging, brain activation impact on me. And like I said about the lyrics, I want you to listen to these. This is from Andre from Outkast, which if you know anything about him, he's a pretty deep guy. I want you to hear what he says right here because my mind was absolutely blown.
What if I told you that he manipulates clocks, stops, time rewind, see what he finds, then rearrange and change things that's on your mind? Would you swallow like fine wine or peanut butter? Would you holler that out loud and ask another? Or play no heat and rubber cup?
You know, sometimes music and volume and everything in the production can make it hard to hear the lyrics. So what he said was, what if I told you he manipulates clocks, stops, time rewinds, see what he finds, then rearrange and change things that's on your mind? When I heard those lyrics, my jaw dropped. I was like, I've been doing that. I've been going back in time, finding new things out, rearranging, changing perspective. That's what 717 is. And so, of course, if you know anything about synchronicities, that song would come into my orbit at that right time. It makes me love the song even more and appreciate it in a different way. It still takes me back, but it's a new era too that's really profound. So I'll finish up what Andre said when he's asking you, the listener, the receiver of this knowledge he just dropped, how are you going to respond? Would you swallow like fine wine or peanut butter? Would you holler that I'm lying and ask another? Or pay no heed and run for cover? What are you gonna pick? Your move, Chief.